Okay, if we swear from now on, you're going to use that belch as like the bleep, so we can not get explicit ratings.
What he's meaning is, you didn't get to hear it, but he belched, and it was a mighty belch. It shook the table kind of belch, and that is going to be our censor noise instead of like a whap or a wow or anything like that.
The one benefit of being a fat piece of shit is that I can belch like a champion.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm back from vacation. I'm James.
I'm John.
And this is Games with John and James Vacation Beachy Vibes episode.
The double bunga blowout. Here we go.
It's this past week for me was pretty fun. Martha and I, we went down to Destin, Florida with some friends. As if you saw the reels from last week, I posted a few of them. I even posted a photo of me with a gaming skimboard.
If 5-year-old John, 6-year-old John saw that, they would have wanted that and never used it.
It would have been great. It would have been like the weird pseudo trophy mantelpiece of gaming whatever.
Yeah, because like you want to sell something to boys, put a PlayStation controller on it.
Exactly. It was a lot of fun. There were a couple retro shops that I checked out. Shout out to Rad Junk in Fort Walton. Always a good time in there. Reasonable selection.
Rad Junk, also the nickname of my dick.
Ayo, it's rad. It's junky.
It's radiated.
Junky rad.
As in it's radiated and don't touch it.
And it's rated E for everyone.
That's why women don't.
Oh, no. But no, they had a good selection. Prices, some were a little high, some were right on point, and some were below where they were, which was fun. It was just all in all a really chill and much needed vacation because here at work, our tempo, and John can attest to this, has just been nutso bonkers busy for like 6 months running. It's been job to job to job to job to job to go.
Yeah, it would have been fun to be a part of a lot of those, but yeah.
Hey, we'll get you there.
Yeah.
So, something fun I wanted to do, and I'm introducing this episode. Surprise, everybody. John doesn't even know about this. So these are...
You're pregnant, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was about time.
Yeah.
Martha got me.
She split me right in half.
She gave me a booty baby.
Okay, talk about the real thing.
So this past week, we have some games that released. We have Return to Monkey Island for Switch and PC. Deathloop actually released over on the Series X and S, which that's pretty cool. I think that was a really fun game, and I'm happy people who own an Xbox can enjoy it as well.
Yeah, they bought Bethesda, so they better get it.
Yep, Hard Space Shipbreaker, that came out. If you're into hard space and shipbreaking, go for it. Don't know what it's about.
There's also a game that came out that I want to play. It's like called the Midnight Fight Express.
Hey.
That game looks like a lot of fun. I have it downloaded already. I need to play it.
We have Jack Move, which came out for the Xbox One, PS4, and Switch. So older consoles getting some love still.
This generation is the most cross-platform thing ever.
Solstice came out for all consoles and PC. Gundam Evolution actually released on PC.
The Overwatch Gundam game, yeah.
We need to play that one. I think you and I would have fun on that one.
Buy me a PC and we will.
But it's also on PS5.
It is?
I thought Gundam Evolution initially came out on...
That's like Gundam Versus. They've made a lot of Gundam Versus type games, like Gundam Breaker and crap.
1 second. We need to... Yes, they did, actually. Yeah, there's been so many Gundam games.
What's funny is because if you would have told, like, Little John back in the day, like, who was playing Journey to Jaburo and all those old crappy games, they're like, hey, they're going to be like a flood of amazing Gundam games. I'll be like, cool. Now I'm just like, okay.
It is on PS5, PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S.
Oh.
Just not right now. November 30th.
So they're Gundam
Whoa,
block
PC
games.
actually got first. That's kind of...
It's like releasing a game in Australia first. It's like, why?
No Place for Bravery. No idea. Serial Cleaners. Looks like a murder cleaning game.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
My personal favorite, out of all of the ones I've mentioned, the Dio Field Chronicle.
The whatever name Square is going to throw at anything today.
That came out. Play it. 100% out of all of these. Play that one.
Mm-hmm.
DreamWorks Dragons Legends of the Nine Realms came out. That's cute.
They made a Troll Hunters game as well, and I'm like, are those games any good?
I don't know. I liked How to Train a Dragon. I would give it a shot, wouldn't you?
I never saw the movie.
Shovel Knight Dig, which John made mention of while we were at breakfast before we recorded this.
I did. On my second run, I beat the game.
Jesus.
Yeah, like I just got a really good run and I just beat it.
You remember the old taiko drums for like the PlayStation 2,
yes,
GameCube?
I do. My buddy had it and we played Rock the Dragon over and over again.
Nice. Well, they just came out with a new game called Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival on the Switch, just released on September 23rd. You want to get some rhythm game going?
No.
So, yeah, I wanted to surprise everyone. It's something that I want to... I'll introduce it every now and then on the shows, but I want you guys to know what games have come out. We're inundated with media, with releases, with this and that, and sometimes cool little unique games, they get lost in the sauce because you're worried about AAA X or this sequel here or this remake here, which, by the way... Shout out to Konami, of all people. Suikoden 1 and 2. Suikoden 1 and 2. Suikoden 1 and 2.
And then 3, 4, and 5 are where?
If they made... So I could see them redoing 3. I could see them redoing 5. But 4 was kind of the black sheep of the family.
It's like the Breath of Fire one with the emaciated albino kid on the cover.
Yep, Dragon Quarter.
Yeah, that's the one. It was Dragon something.
You literally have to die repeatedly in order to complete the game. And when you turn into a dragon, which the game is known for, you lose health the entire time you're as a dragon.
See, there was a window of time, ladies and gentlemen, where developers thought that making games the exact opposite of what made them fun and unique would make them sell better. I don't get it.
I will never know. But shout out, Suikoden 1 and 2 will be the remaster, remake. I don't know how well they're going to do it. It could get the Chrono Cross treatment, the Final Fantasy VIII treatment, like really upscaling on what the graphics were, making them really nice and not blocky death.
Yeah.
Like, look at Squall back on the PS1.
Yeah, and you just wish his face was more scarred.
Oh, God. What happened to you? I survived the Polygon Wars.
I survived the JRPG wars. One of the funny things is that I was doing research for one of the episodes we were going to do, and Kazunori Yamauchi... No, Hironobu, what's his name? The guy who was the CEO of Nintendo. I always get his name wrong. Yamaguchi-san, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. He is the one who, when Square decided to go and make games for PlayStation, he just came out full force and said, RPG games are stupid and boring and played by nerds who are 30-year-old in their rooms and get depressed. And it's like, holy shit, he went hard to the paint with all of my talking points.
Nintendo back then was a wild child. Like, nowadays you could not see Nintendo having a person of power, from Miyamoto to Yamaguchi or anyone in between. You could not see them saying something like that nowadays.
Hiroshi Yamauchi, that's his name. Yeah, but he was very outspoken when Square left them as a developing partner. He was just like, yeah, your games suck and we hate you. It's like, wow.
I mean, hey. And so, fun fact, PS5 is dominated last month, and for whatever hate you want to give them, Sony's here to stay.
They never left. Like, the only systems that they've made where they didn't sell 100 million units was the PSP and the PS3, and those made like 90 million units.
Don't forget the Vita.
Everybody forgets about the Vita. What are you talking about?
I mean, hey, the original handheld OLED technology. Step your game up, Nintendo. Don't.
They already did, and they're still making buku bucks.
I mean, we also get Breath of the Wild 2.
Tears of the Empire.
Yay.
That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna play the shit out of that game.
You still have to beat Phantasy Star 4, man.
Who says?
I'm going to take all of your games, and wait, no, you have digital.
I like the idea of you trying to do anything in my apartment because, you see my sawed-off shotgun? You see my roommate who is packing?
I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. I'm all out of gum.
I'm here to eat ass and play video games. Take off your pants. It's like, Duke, that's not the line. It's better this way.
Duke, no.
You're right. There are two sexes. The sex I have with your dad and the sex I have with your mom.
Now meet the Duke.
Yeah. And it's just the Xbox controller. All right, we're getting way off track. So new releases came out. Another part of the intro. Last week we had our big Splatoon episode, and it's been a bit of time since we recorded that episode. So I wanted to give a brief update in one of the segments we used to do, the replay. So it's been a few weeks. I've spent some time in the online multiplayer. The second Splatfest has come out, and I have to say, there's a lot of the things that are genuinely better about Splatoon 3. I will praise it now. So, I, for one, who played Splatoon 2, and if you don't know my opinion about that game, just listen to the previous episode, I was not a fan, and I was still not a fan of ranked modes no matter what. But what I was kind of pissed off about was that the game modes were locked off to their rank mode. What Splatoon 3 has done, when I think I touched on it a little bit in the previous episode, is that if you play what they're called anarchy rounds, which are basically just the ranked game modes, but, different, branding, whatever.
We have to be original!
Yeah, but instead of ranked mode, this is anarchy mode, motherfucker. You can't control us. We're not your dad.
Anarchy. From Portland.com.
Oh, hell yeah. Send me home, baby. But the cool thing about that is that you can do a series, and for me, I like to play Splat Zones, which is a fun game mode, which is basically a competitive version of the game itself. Keep a control point manned and keep it turfed up and painted the right color.
It's like Last Man on the Hill or whatever that.
It's King of the Hill, basically.
Yeah, that one. Yes, King of the Hill.
King of the Kill. If you played H1Z1 or whatever the fuck it was called. Anyway, no, but the cool thing is that their ranked modes in video games are really shitty. Because despite how well you might perform or contribute to a match, the only thing that counts is wins, and that increases your rank or gives you points. What Anarchy has done has basically said, hey, we're going to give you merits, like in every other multiplayer game, like, medals and stuff for kills or turf inked or whatever, just little kind of merits you get after every match.
Yep.
Those will count toward a point total, and after a series of matches, whether you win or lose, you will still go up in rank. So as long as you play effectively, you're still climbing the ladder. It might be slower because if you lose, it doesn't give you as many points, but you still get to go up. It's still a net positive experience. And it ties into something that I like about game design, where what you should not do in your game is nerf things. I think accretion and boosting things is always better than removing things.
Absolute Virtue would like to have a word with you.
Who?
Remember the Final Fantasy XI boss that I mentioned, that it took 6 years to truthfully kill, and Square was at one point, they were like, hey, you're struggling, this is how you beat it. Oh, by the way, we patched it so you can't do this. Enjoy! Yeah,
well, that's Square and they suck. They don't know how to make games. Hiroshi Yamauchi said so. But no, so I appreciate that a lot, because it's actually encouraged me to play different game modes, and playing by myself, it's better. Now, one thing I will admit that I am not having fun with, the Splatfest happened, and for whatever reason, all the sweaty people like to come out and represent their team that they pick for the Splatfest. That was the most genuinely, this last weekend of playing this game was the most genuinely not fun I've ever had with this franchise in a long time.
So what John means by the sweaty people, there are, for every facet of multiplayer game, you have casuals, you have, a little bit better than casuals, so on and so forth. But then you have the people that are the ultimate of tryhards who, and I'm not saying this is bad to do research and things like that. If you've never played a game, obviously do that. You want to enjoy the game, and I don't think you would enjoy just walking around dying. Maybe you do. I don't know.
The Dark Souls players.
But these people research to the extreme. They meta to the extreme to where everything is as current as possible. And it's like pure maximum optimization for, it could be a fun time for them, but for other people, it's not fun. It's like
it literally deprives everyone else of fun. So I want to describe my experience with it. Okay, So I'm playing the Splatfest. The first couple of matches, I'm holding my own. I win and I lose, and it's fine. The scores are usually pretty evenly matched, like 40-50 splits, right? Then the maps just changed and everything just went to hell. All the sweaty people came out, and suddenly we're just getting spawn camped, and we can't even play the fucking video game. When people are so good at a game or get themselves to a level where they compete so hard that you literally don't get the other team to actually play the video game, you literally deprive everyone else of fun. And I you can talk to my wall. If my walls could speak in my apartment,
the horrors they have seen.
Yeah, the fact that I still have white painted walls, no, they should be like rusted and rotting by this point. No, but
your swear jar would be full.
If I had a swear jar, I'd be the Monopoly man. You said,
Mr. Pennybucks.
Is it? I think it's Rich Uncle or something. Rich Uncle Skeleton.
I have no idea.
Fucking, I don't care. But the whole thing is that like it literally is the opposite of fun when you can't even play the game. When lag spiking is killing you with things you don't even see coming, or you're matched up with people who literally have nothing better to do but be good at a video game, and you can't even play. Because people out there have different things that kind of trigger them when it comes to frustration with video games.
100%.
I mentioned it in a previous episode, I think, but Destruction All-Stars is a lot of fun. Because the core gameplay of Destruction All-Stars is a lot of fun. Mashing cards together, blowing things up, and having a good old time making a big mess. I like playing, and I have not won like any of those matches I've ever played in Destruction All-Stars. But the core gameplay loop is so fun that I'm never angry about it. Like, it's never frustrating. It's always fun. You're always doing something that's cool. When you get paired up with people in games that are online multiplayer who only care about winning, who only play meta, who only do the things that basically make you an insufferable person in real life, it sucks all of the joy out of it. And it's at the point where I was so pissed and so frustrated and just angry that I just had to shut it off. Like, they made me quit. Like, the literal definition of rage quit. If there's ever a Splatfest again, I'm not participating. I'm not going to do it. It's not worth the headache or the throat ache because I'm getting over a sickness and I'm still screaming at my TV and that hurts, man.
So this is, honestly, I think that is something that a lot of games that are multiplayer that offer events like this, WoW did it with some limited PvP stuff, you name it, right? You have seen throughout time. There are people, so WoW PvP, I'll use my easy example. There are people that just get it, and they are geared to the core. They understand resiliency, they understand PvP mechanics, and legit, it's just like, oh, cool, I can't do anything, I'm dead, right?
Yeah, it's you played World of Warcraft, so you know that there's a lot of people who play that game who only play it one way. Mm-hmm. And that's why they have builds that go like, this is the optimal build, by numbers. It's like, yeah, but it's not fun.
So what you've seen it with WoW, Call of Duty, other things. Anything where there's like there's a casual drop off and a competitive drop off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Nintendo, Papa Nintendo, Daddy Nintendo, whoever at Nintendo could potentially listen to this. We may purposely put Nintendo music in here just so you're forced to listen to this, so you can say, don't use this.
So your robots can listen.
But you have to, when you do a big event like this, because the Splatfest is a casual big event.
It should be.
So it is, right? Like if you look at it, that's what it is, because it doesn't really matter any way, shape, or form other than you did the event, you win some stuff, right?
Yeah, the core engagement with a game like this should be fun.
So what you need to do, like people like that, they're going to be in any game, right?
Yeah.
So you need
I hope they go away. I've said worse things, but I just hope they just go away.
Well, to quote you, well, little Jimmy, let me tell you, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, because they don't go anywhere. So also, what is it like to kiss?
Robot domo arigato. Mr. Roboto.
All right, continue, please.
But divide it up, right? You're not really in it for rank. You just enjoy the multiplayer facet, right? You enjoy playing with friends. You enjoy.
I try to, yeah.
So that's the part where you derive your enjoyment from. So when you create a casual event, you have to take into consideration. Obviously, it's Nintendo, so take this with a fucking grain of salt, right?
Uh-huh.
This is casual X. If you're we'll call it your anarchy level. Is that what it's called?
It's anarchy mode, yeah.
So is it rank level or like what do they count? Well, like what's the term for the level?
Well, it's just like, it's like you start like C-, you go all the way up to S+ and stuff like that.
So okay, so letter ranked. Yeah. So this is, if you're in this mode, letter rank cutoff, only get in with other letter rank of this in this casual mode, right? You divide it by that, and it's not hard to do. That is a few lines of code, man.
They don't care though. because
But
the
they
whole
don't.
point of Splatfest is you pick a team and you're basically just stuck with that team.
Exactly.
So
Well,
if you want to be, because so the theme of this Splatfest was team. Like, what would you bring to a desert? I almost said deserted island. Would you bring gear? Would you bring food? Or would you bring stuff to amuse yourself? Would you pick fun? So it's gear, food, fun. Those are the teams, right? I picked team fun because fuck it, I'm on a desert island. I'm gonna die anyway, so might as well have some playing cards, right? Also, it's big man, and I gotta support big man all the time. But yeah, so when you pick when you pick your team, you basically get matched with people who also pick that team, and I'm guessing that a lot of people who picked Team Fun aren't the sweaty tryhard people. I'm sure they're the casual people. And my voice cracked, and I hate it because I'm still getting over this stupid fucking cold.
that's why you have to divide it. Like, obviously, let them pick their team, but like Team Fun, S plus, Team whatever, so on and so forth. So obviously, that's a pipe dream, magical wonderland thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's reasons like this that actually lead us into the topic of this week's episode for things going the way of the dodo because of companies being idiots.
Yeah, so the whole point of live service games is you're basically selling a $60 promise that you'll be continually enjoying the game. And more often than not, a lot of these games come out and they don't do that, or they are overhyped and underdeliver, or they're undercooked at launch and slowly over time begin to actually develop into something. So I thought with the kind of intro that we had, let's talk about it, because there are good games coming out. Like, there are games coming out that follow that same model. There are games that are still being played that follow that same model. And then there are games that, of course, fell by the wayside before even a year passed. So we're going to take a break here, and then we're going to jump into the topic at hand. Live service games and the pros, the cons, and everything in between. Stick around.
I did not know that. I just learned some facts.
It's like how Dusty and Cody Rhodes are,
Cody Rhodes. We're recording again, aren't we? Yep. Cody Rhodes. This is my wrestling fun for this one. It was a pay-per-view recently. I believe it was WrestleMania, if I'm not mistaken. It was either WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble.
Mm.
So Cody Rhodes, he got screwed by WWE with the Stardust gimmick, right?
Yeah.
And bounced out. He helped found AEW, All Elite Wrestling, with Tony Khan. He leaves that production this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was either this year or at the end of last year. Comes back to WWE, gets to be who he created, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Literally has a torn pec. Like a torn pec. And he wrestles a full 20-minute match. And if that is not the biggest set of cojones ever, like here, I'll pull up an image for you, John. Tell me how brutal that looks. Look at his chest, John.
Jesus, it's dying. It's like it exploded, like a dye pack exploded in his titty.
Now, would you be okay if a gamer was playing through that kind of injury? You'd accept that kind of tryhardness?
Yeah, because there's usually something, there's like a warrior spirit thing. I don't fucking know. Like, I think people who just or play games like robots fucking suck.
So, as John mentioned prior to the break, we're here to talk to you today about live service games, and quite a few of them that are just poofing out of existence because they failed.
Yeah. If you mind if I actually introduce the topic a little bit?
Of course. That's my intro segue.
Okay. So okay, fine. Whatever people can't see that, so they know it's not funny. They can't hear it.
It's funny to you.
No, it's just distracting. But so this episode topic came about because I heard about the game Babylon's Fall. And Babylon's Fall struggled to really make a splash, make any type of impact. And it was meant to be a game, much like a lot of other games out there. They're like, we're going to support it for years. It's going to have new content. It's basically the new version of MMOs, where like you put out a base game of some type, whether it's completed or not, and then you just iterate on it over time.
I will admit here, and you can roast me for this one, John. I actually picked up Babylon's Fall day one. I was like, hey, you know what? This could be fun. I'm missing that kind of pseudo MMOE experience.
Yeah, they can be fun.
Yeah, like on console, it's so much easier to turn off than PC. Like you don't feel as vested. No offense for those people who do,
but please go bathe.
Yeah, amen to that. You know, lift up the folds, make sure you get the under cheese out.
Oh, God.
But it was weird, man. Like
weird as in, like, just not fun? Because, like, Platinum Games made it.
The controls were a little clunky. So every MMO, in some form or fashion, if you look at it and you break it down, there's a story or there's a rehashing and an evolution. So, like, World of Warcraft was the evolution of the story after Warcraft 3, right?
Right.
And they kept expanding upon the history, adding, so on and so forth, like rich with lore.
Like the appeal of World of Warcraft, I'd imagine, would be the actual world and not the killing, wolves for hours on end.
You mean pigs and saying, "Mom, bathroom." God bless South Park.
That's a big boy.
But no, so like the story, that's the reason why Final Fantasy XIV is so amazing right now. The story just can't be beat. Like the gameplay for an MMO, it's going to be the same no matter what. It's tank, healer,
that freaking
DPS,
Xenoblade
right?
Chronicles, like completely disconnected bullshit.
Yeah, it's tank, healer, DPS. That is literally every MMO, if you want to break it down, right? You have your tank, few healers, DPS, go kill the boss, right?
Yeah, that's why I liked the idea of Anarchy Reigns. Wow, there are so many games that tried this and did not work. Where it's like, oh yeah, it's a beat-em-up game that actually plays like a Bayonetta, but it's online and it does all that shit.
So yeah, Babylon's Fall, it tried, but it failed because there was no story. And I'm only using this one because that's my biggest experience I have with live service here recently, was that you can't have something be continuous without substance and story. And substance for your multiplayer games, like that can be the actual gameplay itself, enhancing and expanding upon it. Look at FortNite, biggest game in the world right now.
Yeah, and what's funny is that like we'll come back to FortNite a bit as well, but like they made a game. Like the whole concept of them making a game happened. They pre-produced it, they produced it, they tested it, and they put it out there on shelves for people to buy, and it didn't make a splash and no one bought it. Within 2 weeks, like 2 people at the office pivoted to make it like a battle royale, similar to PUBG, which was like the biggest game in the world at the time, and it took over the world.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, Babylon's Fall, they tried, they swung for the fences, they missed. It's literally being shut down.
Yep, and not even a year. So imagine the person who bought that day one or was actually excited for it.
You mean me?
Yeah, $60, right? Yeah, so $60 for not even a year of any content that they promised to make.
It was a letdown. I made it through the prologue. So
there is no guarantees, folks. You're not going to get what people say. It's marketing.
Yeah, like I'll admit, like when it comes
who would have seen? I'm sorry to interrupt, but like who would have seen GTA 5's longevity? Like that freaks me out. Like, the single biggest money earning entertainment property in the world of all time.
Yeah, Rockstar. They're getting to do what? Well, I don't know. World of Warcraft has them beat.
I don't know. I want to see actual number. The one time I want to be objective on this fucking podcast.
You know what? You keep talking. I'm going to look at money generated from World of Warcraft since launch. You are going to look up money generated by Grand Theft Auto 5 since launch. Oh. Masses, you guys are about to hear some really cool dialogue.
I'm not going to be able to talk and research at the same time. Oh. But again, the core conceit of what we're trying to talk about here is like we've all seen those games that have had the promise of something big and then they underdeliver. And what's funny is that we had the entire replay about Splatoon 3. Splatoon started the same way. There were 5 maps in rotation with a few different types of guns. The level cap was 20 for the multiplayer. And then through a stream of updates over the course of like a year, it finally had new weapons, new maps, new sort of stuff happening all the time. But imagine if that game didn't take off. Imagine if you only had those 5 maps, those 5 different types of guns. You'd have Titanfall.
Yeah, I mean, you're accurate. So World of Warcraft has made since inception $19 billion.
And let's be fair too, that came out in like 2004, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So within that amount of time, how much money has GTA 5 raked in?
That's what I'm looking up.
And GTA Online as well.
Well, isn't GTA Online just part of Grand Theft Auto 5?
They treat it as separate, but like you get GTA Online if you get GTA 5.
So
they're connected.
It is since the GTA 5 launch. So everything included since launch back on the PlayStation 3. $7.68 billion.
And that's 2013 to now. That's a shorter amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on their way.
They are. So honestly, we kind of gave you the biggest of the big successes live streaming services ever. WoW and GTA 5.
But now we can talk about like the Wild Stars or the Anthems or the Babylon's Falls or the thing like the Bleeding Edges, the Star Wars Battlefronts 1 and 2, like these games that had the huge promise of, even the original Destiny was supposed to be this single contiguous evolving game, and they're like, oh, buy Destiny 2 instead.
Yeah,
that's Activision's bullshit, but still.
I mean, fair. Now they don't have to worry because it's owned by who?
Bungie.
And who owns Bungie?
Did that actually happen?
Yeah, Sony bought them.
Okay.
So
we get Halo. No, you don't.
They said they want to give it the treatment that Final Fantasy XIV has had. Obviously, Final Fantasy XIV is now the most played MMO in the world right now.
Which is crazy.
I know, right? Mind-boggling, because it almost... So, you know what? I know we can talk about the anthems and everything, but this is like a weird jumble of... We're opening the junk drawer for this episode, ladies and gentlemen.
The structure of this is going to start with the positives, and then we'll talk about the negatives, because there is a lot to say.
So Final Fantasy XIV, at inception, failed.
Mm-hmm.
It almost petered out of existence, but then they came in and they corrected it.
Yeah, they rolled up their freaking sleeves.
They got in the trenches. They listened to what people wanted. They reapproached the game from a mechanics level, from a story level, from a gameplay level, from just your overall experience level. And it's delivered the amazement that we have had. Hell, like they even made a movie about it.
Yeah, like Realm Reborn was truly that. Like that's funny too, because I think a lot about Square Enix and their current like approach to game design is like they don't care.
Looking at you, Various Day Life.
They just care about money. And not to say a company shouldn't care about money, but when you're making an entertainment product, hopefully that thing actually entertains people. That's the goal, I would imagine.
I would hope so. Otherwise, you're basically Blockbuster. You care about money, and then Netflix gets created, and Redbox gets created, and you fold.
I miss Hollywood Video and Game Crazy so much.
Actually, I believe there's a Hollywood Video in Dallas. So if you ever road trip up through there, go check one out.
If there's a Game Crazy still attached to it, oh my God.
Why is this road trip not going anywhere? I'm going to be here for 5 hours. I have to go through everything individually. You guys can leave me.
There's a classic plastic deal still going on since 2002. Three carts for $15. That's a sweetheart deal.
John comes out of there with 75 games in each hand.
Oh, I'd be bent.
You're stacking them like pizza boxes.
I'd be curling them, just like yeah,
plastic power. But no,
my favorite power.
Like the successes. Obviously, we'll call it the big three. There's more we could obviously include, but we'll include the biggest of the three: World of Warcraft, Grand Theft Auto 5 / GTA Online,
and FortNite.
That's actually big four. Final Fantasy 14.
Okay, so and like two of these examples of massively multiplayer online role-playing games, which is a tested genre that has existed since EQ and before that Ultima. You look at something like FortNite, which took the thing that PUBG was, the Battle Royale franchise that started with things like King of the Kill and DayZ and like all these other kind of old games that would play that way. And then you have GTA 5, which, you know, GTA Online, I still really don't understand the appeal. It's basically just The Sims with guns.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And like they've put out more stuff for it, right? Like they've had the crazy like cunning stunts pack where you make like giant racetracks in the sky and drive them around and stuff like that. That I can see like the definite appeal, but like the Sims aspect of it, the making money aspect of it, it's basically just a different type of MMO. It's just what APB tried to be.
100%. Oh, big five. League of Legends.
MOBAs, that's right.
Well, this opens up a whole can of worms in this topic. So we've mentioned the positives. We could honestly do an episode respectively for each and every one. And hey, Brain Blast, we just might. Great. Who knows?
Yeah, it'll be the sequel. It'll be the 3-parter to this. It starts with Splatoon and goes out this way.
But we have to hit you with where it hurts, because we did talk a little bit about Babylon's Fall. We'll go with Anthem. Anthem, the marketing behind it, the trailers, the teasers, everything. It was hype city.
Yeah, it was like, the funny thing is that as I looked at it, it looked like a lot of fun. And
you almost bought it. Or did you buy it?
I have like EA Play, so I could just get it. But yeah,
rude.
No, but seriously, the way that it was marketed is different. But the way I saw it when I was seeing it played, I was like, oh, it's just Destiny in third person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's looter shooter. It's like slow to a crawl, experience grindy, quest stuff, PvE garbage. And because they went into it half-cocked and, not sure about anything, it just all deflated and fell apart.
There's a reason, EA.
And when they fixed it to like actually have decent drops and good rates and stuff, they're like, oh, that was a glitch. Sorry, we'll fix that.
There's a reason, EA, that you should stick with your 2Ks and your Maddens. Anthem sucked.
EA does not make 2Ks.
I know. I'm being facetious on that one.
Okay. I was just like, wait a minute.
You stick with your Maddens.
Yeah, stick with your sports games. EA Vancouver. I almost applied for a job for you once. Anyway, so
I think the biggest message that we can talk with a lot of these is overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah,
it was before all of this, it was the No Man's Sky fiasco.
Let's talk about No Man's Sky for a second, because I remember seeing that game being promoted and hyped up like crazy, and I saw and this is me using my generalizations because I speak in generalizations. This is not slight any type of genre of game. I saw walking simulator and scenery. Uh-huh. But the promise of billions of planets and all this stuff that they were trying to deliver on, and things that they were even vague on. And it resulted in things like death threats to the developers for being like, this game isn't the second coming of Christ that you said it was going to be. It's like, well, we didn't say that. But now you look at things like No Man's Sky Next, and the fact that because it was a success, at least a sales success, they developed it, they iterated it, they packaged it and stuff like that. But that's also kind of the problem, because when you look at gaming, which is still a very young medium, and I will admit this borrows a bit from Yahtzee Crowshaw's recent video about how games as art versus games that are a point on a line graph. It's like, I don't want to review you for what you were at the time. You should be a complete product.
There's a reason we as older gamers reminisce on the days we could go into your Best Buys, your Circuit Cities, and your Game Crazies, and all of them. Buy the game, it's complete, good to go. And if it was an egregious error, the company re-released a corrected version that was complete.
Yeah,
right?
Before, in the era before day one patches, games didn't do that. They were just usually, because games, not talking for quality, if you bought a game and it was exactly what you wanted, I remember buying Rampage Universal Tour, and that game is a cheapo, weirdy, arcade game that granted would maybe keep you amused for maybe a weekend, but I knew that going in. I wasn't expecting it to last me forever. I was I wanted to play it.
You knew what was happening up front. Trailers were quite a bit more honest. Game, the reviews were more, everything was straightforward back then.
Now we have review embargoes. Jesus.
Don't even get me started on that.
The fact you have to be a reviewer and write an NDA to talk about your games, because this could spiral out into a lot of other topics, how basically games journalism is another facet of game marketing, so it's not really journalism. But yeah. So
I'm going to give a shout out to our boy, Ratchet and Clank. Rift Apart.
Yeah, where they been? It's grill to Ratchet. What's up, man? Where you been?
Yeah, John was looking at me like, our boy, and then when I said that, he's like, okay, we're going with this.
Because I was like, are you going to name a reviewer?
No. So a friend of mine in one of the game groups that I'm in on Facebook, he has held off on having so he got a PS5 at launch, $1,200 for resale.
Oh.
Right. Well, so he bought it normally, but it was when people were offering $1,200. He's like, I needed the money. Is what it is. I still have a ton of other consoles in retro I can play.
Yeah.
He did it for, to support his family.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant he bought it at $1,200.
No. He bought it and resold it for $12.
Okay. Okay.
But he came back to it because he had been waiting for games for quite some time. Like, he'd been waiting for some releases, like a lot of people have been with the current consoles, right?
Yeah, like most launch titles, like the Dreamcast had Sonic Adventure and Mario 64 was on the N64, like
PS5 had
Demon Souls remake.
Immortals Phoenix Rising, Demon Souls, and Godfall.
Dude, it's so funny how like the launch title is a dead thing, because the last time I even remotely felt that was with the Xbox One with Dead Rising 3.
Well, no, what about the Switch?
Breath of the Wild, yeah.
Switch, actually, they did it well, but so the reason why...
Because that's Nintendo. They have a track record for that shit.
Fair. But the reason why I mentioned this, so he hates day one patches, this guy. Like, he knows it's the evil of current times. He actually, no internet connection, like, straight up offline mode, right? Loaded up Ratchet and Clank, was able to play it perfectly. Nothing needed to be done. So I know there are few and far in between, but mad respect to the creators of Ratchet and Clank for
Insomniac Games, baby,
for giving us something like that, because that is unheard of in today's world.
Yeah, like the idea of actually having a product complete and in the box that you can buy is a dying thing, and I think that's really weird. So it's, I don't know, you mentioned it before, it's the nostalgia thing too, but really I think it's just bad business, but we all just kind of grown to accept. So I don't want to get too far off track and talk about like other stuff, but the main thing about live service games, correct? So the concept of the live service game is that you are basically buying the promise of content.
Exactly. Like you're getting upfront value. So I'll like
hopefully.
Well, yeah, I mean, looking at you, Babylon's Fall.
Looking at Halo Infinite. Like 343 Industries made a good game. It's a fun open world Halo game. It's a lot of fun to play. They tried to do the season pass thing with their multiplayer, and they're just not delivering because they're not a content machine cranking stuff out. They're a development studio.
There are certain companies, there are certain games that can do that successfully. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Overwatch for a while, right? Yeah, like they were just putting out skins and all sorts of stuff, yeah. So, and then small tweaks here, little improvements here, little pushes here, little pushes there. And that's the funny thing about like the scale that goes between each and every one of these examples that we're providing, because like, and again, this is pulling a bit from Yahtzee Crowshaw's recent video, but like, it's the difference between a game like BioShock, where it's like the game BioShock is about something, and that's novel and a unique concept that's rare nowadays, where it's like, what is FortNite about? And not saying that you can't have different types of games, or you can't have things that stylistically clash, or just things that are big toys, or things that are big playgrounds and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. It could be a wistful, nostalgic feeling of like wanting to have that same kind of a connection to your game again and view it as an art form. But like when he juxtaposed it by saying like, oh yeah, we're making a new Assassin's Creed game. It's like, so what? You're just making a game. Like, what does that? What does a franchise mean? What does a game type mean at this point? If the idea of live service is just a concept that everyone's going to try and shove down our throats, because who cares? What if Overwatch 2 comes out, because it's going to come out next month, and no one plays it? So, and they're deleting Overwatch 1 effectively from the face of the earth. Like they're shutting down those servers to migrate everyone to Overwatch 2. So what does that mean for like historical preservation even? I mean, historical preservation, you're kind of boned, right? Like if you just shut down, delete, game over. The only way you can do it, so Overwatch is within the Activision Blizzard portfolio, right? It's a Blizzard game, yeah. So if they do what they did with WoW. So vanilla WoW comes out, you can level to 60, then Burning Crusade to 70, Wrath of the Lich King to 80, so on and so forth, right? Then Cataclysm 85, Mists of Pandaria, whatever, right? Pandas. So what they would actually do is you got to, obviously they still had to use the same servers, expand, update, whatever. So you allowed people who participated in that, they got to keep all their stuff from those previous expansions. So if they were, I don't care about my max level gear, I want to look cool in bug gear
Yeah.
from
It sounds like
killing,
Monster Hunter.
Yeah, from killing Sethune in Temple of Ahn'Qiraj. You could look like the person who killed Sethune from AQ. Or if you're one of the very few people who got the server first of opening the doors to Ahn'Qiraj, it was either for the 20-man or the 40-man. I forget which one. You got a bug mount. Like, you had a scarab-looking Starship Troopers bug mount.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool.
It's afraid.
Oh, no. It's a bug.
No, it's afraid. Nobody cheers.
So, but you got to keep that, and it just rolled with you. So my hope, for Overwatch is still one of the biggest games played, right?
At least in its genre, I'd imagine. Because like that's the funny thing about kind of living on the internet. Like you'd imagine that a lot of things that you'd think are dead. No, they're not.
They're always there. The internet never dies.
The internet, no, even like just the regular world doesn't die. Like I was watching another video and it talks about how like think about the entire population of the planet, and you think about the discourse that happens across social media. Only 6% of people in the world use things like Twitter. Or like, yes, YouTube's the biggest like video sharing platform, but people don't engage, they don't comment, they just watch funny videos on it. And yet people are so convinced that living in their own little bubbles on the internet somehow makes them like, oh yeah, Game of Thrones, that's not going to work anymore. And then the new Game of Thrones, the House of Dragons comes out, buku bucks, huge success. It's like Tits and Dragons works for everyone else but the people online who say, oh, that shit's over.
Speaking of House of Dragons, episode 5, that cliffhanger was amazing. I will not give any spoilers, but holy balls, it is awesome. And for everybody who said, the actor who plays Daemon Targaryen, he was the doctor. He was a doctor on Doctor Who.
Okay.
And then he also had a bit in The Crown. They were saying he couldn't pull this off.
The guy with the nose? That guy?
I don't know if it was him. I have not seen The Crown, so I can't tell you.
Was he Prince Philip in The Crown?
I have. Are you making me go to the Googles right now?
Yes, I am, because I actually watched The Crown. I watched it with my mom.
Really?
Yeah, I did. That was a good show. Because if this is the same person we're thinking about, yeah, I remember seeing him as the Doctor too.
Matt Smith.
Matt Smythe.
Smythe?
Well, because he's freaking British.
Is this the guy you think of?
Yep, that's him.
Yeah, they were saying he
looks like he looks like a stand-in for for Steven Seagal.
Oh, don't ever say that again.
Why?
Steven Seagal, more like fat man hot dog Seagal.
He's got a ham-flavored belt and hop keto. You watch your mouth.
Creepiest perv in the world who's Russian now.
No, he's also Belarusian apparently, so whatever.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
Let's just not talk about Under Siege 3. Let's talk about the games.
So shout out that guy. He's carrying the series. All of the acting has been phenomenal. You haven't seen much dragons, but whatever. I'm fine with that.
There, man.
I'm fine with that. That dude deserves every award that you can get for whatever these series, the Emmys, Oscars. I don't know what he's going to get.
You want to get him EGOTed.
He needs them all.
Okay.
Been carrying it. Now, back to what you were mentioning. Like, since it's in the Blizzard, like, segue back, side quest in reverse. How would you even do that?
The side quest in reverse? Like, so, thank you for saving my baby. Did you kick the baby off? Like, no, my baby.
Don't kick the baby.
It's like the penguin quest in Mario 64. Anyway, back on track.
So, if they do what they did with World of Warcraft, they're going to... That stuff, Overwatch 1 ceases, but everything is going to carry over, so those people like yourself, John, who have put in a lot of hours in it...
Yeah, a lot.
Your validation is still there. The stuff you've earned is still there.
My life is not wasted.
Well, I mean, yeah, fair. However, bigger than that, your money and time are not devalued.
Well, I mean, like, it's also really funny because I think about how Call of Duty does it. Like, they've run their entire franchise on the premise of, like, yeah, that game's old news, but, like, there are still at least, like, 10 people playing on the Wii U.
At least 10 people!
On the Black Ops 2 on the Wii U right now. I swear to God, there are people out there still playing it today. Because, like, yeah, this is my favorite. I like this game.
I thought they shut down online stuff.
No, they didn't. They shut down the eShop. They're shutting that down over the course of time. If they actually shut down online services for the Wii U, I will literally if I can get it streaming to work, I will stream a 24-hour marathon of playing Splatoon 1.
Respect.
Like, that game, I talked about it before. There are games that are good. There are games that are bad. There are games that are important to you. Anyway.
That one's good and important to you.
Yeah, Splatoon 2 is bad and important to me. And 3, jury's still out on 3, because...
So... Obviously, you know, we've mentioned a lot. You have had to follow the snake, so to speak, for this one with the curls, the dips, and the dives.
Yeah, I think this is, again, the term that I've coined for episodes like these are they're blue sky episodes, where we pose more questions than we really have answers to it. We express our opinions and our thoughts on it, but there's also things...
I thought it was the word we trademarked.
Blue sky?
No, we trademarked junk drawer.
Oh, no, that's been around forever, man.
No, it's my word now.
It's your junk, you can do what you want with it. No, but...
Giggity.
We can pose these questions and offer this stuff up like that. But like to me, one thing that I just hope that through whether you listen to this podcast or any podcast you listen to or whatever you do with your life, if you actually care about the medium as an art form, that you think about it a bit more in that regard. Because I don't fault people for liking things. I don't fault things for being popular. I don't fault things for that. I will always fault publishers and developers for being disingenuous, for making things worse than they could be.
I think the crux of the problem, like...
And fan bases for making it suck.
I mean, fair.
The Genshin community, wow, you are weird motherfuckers.
Like, developers and publishers, like, they botch quite a few things. Sometimes they do stuff pretty awesome. Like, look at Tunic. Didn't expect it. That was really, really cool, right?
Yeah, you'll get a lot more of the novel stuff out of the independent scene, or even just stuff that you don't see anymore that used to be like the number one stuff. Like I recently, Shredder's Revenge came out this year, and beat 'em ups, like character-based arcade style beat 'em ups, used to be the it game, and now they're not anymore. So when you get one, it's like, this is awesome.
So I think the big problem when it comes to live service games is we as players, we as fans, we don't really so accountability isn't really a thing anymore in the video game industry.
No, it's not. Ask Ubisoft and Activision. And
I think that's the crux of this problem for live service games. You and I, John, we could go create a game. We could create John and James's spiraling utopia of manicness. The MMO.
Flick the Bean, starring John and James.
There you go.
And it's basically just you have a time limit, and you flick a bean on your screen, like you flick the screen.
No, you're speed bagging it.
Yeah. And depending on how the rate of your speed, it'll actually change the sound effects. We need to write this down. This is a good game. This is a fun idea.
Hey, look, it's like Downwell.
Yeah, in this game, you flick the bean.
You don't go down. You go side to side.
You go side to side, and it circles, and when you really want to trip the juice, you go blah, 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 blah.
But you and I could create a game, and all we have to, right now, with how the market, demographics, everything, insert whatever corporatized word you want, all we have to say is, it's gonna be this, offering this, real time, blah, blah.
In this game, you control the cannon. You play as our bald-headed hero, Clarence McGee, and he's got a mission to save the world. In an unprecedented move, we have made a camera system that flips between the third and first-person perspective on the fly. It's like, it's all buzzwords and all the shit that E3 used to do.
Exactly. Like, we could deliver hot garbage, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
I do that
because we promised it, people are gonna buy it. We made our money, and it doesn't matter what happens after that. Like,
it's the same shit. I wrote the article for our blog, which we're still trying to build, ladies and gentlemen, where like the person that tried to file like a class action suit against Guerrilla Games and Sony because of the way that the 1080p worked in multiplayer. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, because that stuff pisses me off too. Entitledness in industries and games and stuff like that is super bullshit. But like, saying like, oh yeah, don't worry, we're gonna support you guys, and we're gonna make a game that's gonna last for years, and it doesn't. Like, shoot, I mentioned Splatoon again because like I remember playing when that game first came out, and it had very little content, and I got rid of it because I was like, oh, I'm done. Like, I've played it.
Yeah.
And then when they started putting out new stuff again, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll pick it up. But like, I imagine the people who didn't have that option to just rebuy a video game. Imagine the people who bought a game thinking it was going to be something and then they just don't like it. Like, now we have GameStop's like, 48-hour, 24-hour love it or return it type of policy now, which is good because hopefully as a product or as a art form, you will get something that you actually want out of the thing that people create. Like, I don't know. I think it stems from what we value, right? So I think as we kind of wind down this episode topic, I want people to take a step back and reevaluate what they value when it comes to their games.
100%.
Because like I picked up at a yard sale. You saw the photo on Twitter if you all follow Twitter. I picked up Rez and I picked up Metal Gear Solid 2.
And he picked up what's in my hand. It is a shiny, really awesome, super powerful and inspiring, greatest hits Final Fantasy Tactics.
I'm sure when you said greatest hits, some people were like, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
you must not have the green label.
Collectively, yeah. Yeah. But
no, shout out. Super awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Like, as soon as I saw it, because I showed it to my girlfriend too, it's just like, oh, you got a new like Famiclone console and Rez and Metal Gear. You love those games, and oh, that's one for James, isn't it? Like, yes, it is.
They know me too well. I'm a simple man with simple pleasures. Oh, so this is also for all of you because this is going to be in the making right now.
Oh boy.
Remember our episode of defending bad video games? And I defended Shaq Fu. Remember how they were actively being destroyed?
Yes.
We talked about Babylon's Fall, right?
Uh-huh.
Babylon's Fall copies are being actively destroyed right now.
By who?
Just in general. GameStops are apparently giving them away for free in certain areas.
Dude, like, they're going to do that with, like, Overwatch. Like, we kind of, like, touched the surface. I don't feel like we gave examples of too many games out there because we kind of cited the big ones. But, like, I think about Titanfall. I think about that game when that came out and the huge promise of a giant, like, you know, multiplayer game on this next generation console with big robots, something you've never seen before, and it's dead. And even EA's own flagship PC store won't sell you the game anymore. Because, like, nothing of value is there. It's like, holy shit.
So...
Like, my voice cracked again with how just agog I am with, like, the way that people treat games nowadays.
It's insane, like, to think about that. So the reason why I mentioned that, if you're listening to this, pick up a copy, because physical copies of this are probably going to be rare, and you may have something that is trade fodder for a collector, which is always awesome to get trade fodder for free.
Yeah.
Or I think the lowest I saw it was $4.99.
Let's go to the GameStop and pick it up.
Hey, let's go.
It's the same way where, like, I think about, like, how there are some games that they just won't accept anymore. Mm-hmm. Or, like, what I think is pretty funny is that there are publishers out there who make, like, boxed copies of video games now, who publish games, like, for the Switch. And, like, I'll try to trade those in or, like, say, hey, how much is this worth? And, like, oh, we don't carry that because that's not in our system. It's like, so someone is publishing games that people don't know about. That's crazy.
So we talked about live service games.
What is happening? What are you smiling about over there?
On Steam at one point, Babylon's Fall had an all-time high of 1,166 concurrent players.
That's a lot.
It fell to just one player.
Oh,
in
wow.
In May 2022. Now,
wow.
When we think of games releasing, how many copies? So we'll use Tales of Arise.
Okay.
How many copies do you think that game sold?
I would say like 500,000.
Like just in Japan or worldwide?
Like domestic, I don't care. Just 500,000. I'll just say 500,000. You'll tell me the real number anyway.
So like Tales of Arise, it's kind of niche, right? As of April of this year, it sold 2 million copies since being released in September of last year. So that's a 7-month spread for 2 million copies. That's kind of what I think of with bigger known games. Bandai Namco, Tales series, you know.
Yeah, like it's funny how still to this day, like if you make a game, if you move like 500,000 units, it's actually still pretty successful. It's like Digimon Survive came out finally.
How many copies do you think Babylon's Fall sold on release?
I don't want to know, do I?
You do, because it's gonna make you freaking laugh.
Okay, I'll say. I'll say 100,000.
Oh, yeah, very okay. In Japan, the physical PlayStation 4 version of Babylon's Fall sold 2,885 copies.
Okay, Japan is
within its first week of release.
Oh boy.
The PlayStation 5 version sold 2,224 copies.
What about America?
They don't have America. That's why I love it so much.
That makes me sad.
That is 5,196 9 copies sold in Japan in its first week. And the reason why I reference Japan, it is a Square Enix RPG along with Platinum Games. Square Enix, for what anybody says, they own Japan. There's a reason Various Daylife, which was an iOS game originally.
Yeah. Wait, it was?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Got released. Sold bucket loads, right? Like 5,109 games. That is awful.
Oh, man.
How awful is that?
I mean, that's an actual, like, that's a crisis. Like, that is not okay.
Literally sold less than 1,000 copies on PC.
Well, like, what marketing was behind it? Like, how did people know? Like, because, like, we'll wrap up with one example, okay? We're almost at the end of the episode, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'll think about a game called Anarchy Reigns. And I remember that being announced, and it was another game from Platinum Games, right?
Yeah, I remember that game.
And it took place as a sequel to the Mad World universe, starring Jack Kamen, who is a badass game character who we need to see more of, and a huge assortment of other characters in a world that had, granted, it had a single player like story mode between 2 stories, which is great. But the appeal of that game was going to be, it's going to be a giant online brawler. It's going to be a big fighting game that you play online with people. And that caught my attention. And what I think is crazy is that Platinum has like yet to make an online game up to that point. And Sega did everything they could to bury that game.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because they wanted to do it as a write-off or something like that, because like companies do that where they just write it off, but they can't sell it or promote it or anything like that. Like, it drove me nuts because like even Platinum was like, no, we got the online and it's running well. Like we got good servers up. We've got good clientele playing the games. People are having fun. Playtests are going good. We don't know why Sega wants to bury us. And I think about how the promise of that would have been so cool. Like if they would have actually, because it was a complete product when I bought it. It was a finished game that had voice acting, story, 2 campaign modes, dope music, dope levels, dope characters, the whole shit. It was a sequel to Mad World that I wanted. It wasn't in black and white, but whatever. Like, sometimes you can just do that. But it would have been really cool to see that, especially with its freaking soccer game that you could play. It'd be cool to have that still around. And I know I said that was the last example, but here's one more example I gotta give. For the PSP, Capcom put out a game called Mega Man Powered Up. A SD-style chibi reboot. Reboot is a new...
Reboot of the robot to the reboot.
It's a robot reboot.
Reboot, robot. Say that 3 times fast.
Like the cartoon show. But no.
Super Fighting Robot.
No, reboot.
Meow.
Dire Straits, that music video. No. Anyway, I read an article recently about how after 16 years, they're finally shutting down the servers that host the created levels in the Level Maker. And that is something that that blew my mind, that that there was a community of people still playing it, and that they were actually going to take it away. And like, again, like, we don't really have a fine point to this episode, and that's the whole point of the Blue Sky episodes.
Well, I mean, so we do. So think about it. Like, so I would say this is the crux of the episode. We're going to say this is the hammer it. This is the hammer it moment.
The foot stomp moment.
Have to pound my hand right there.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
It did. Yeah.
We as fans and gamers and consumers need to hold publishers and developers accountable for these live service games. For every one game that is successful, Final Fantasy XIV, League of Legends, the 5 we mentioned, right?
Yeah.
There are 50 that are not. And what's happening is those 50 that are not are giant wastes of time and money for us as consumers. It used to be developers and publishers, they cared about us because when they were fledglings, without us, they were screwed.
Yeah.
So your golden age of gaming from the Master System through the PS1, Nintendo 64 days, right? We'll make it a big golden age.
I'll make it the stretch between arcade gaming up to PS2, Xbox, GameCube.
Yeah, that's actually perfect. Because that's almost a 20-year stretch, right?
Yeah.
That's
half of the industry length.
That's the first 20 years. They understood people, gave completed products, and even when you tested the boundaries with live service games,
Resident Evil Outbreak.
Yep, Final Fantasy 11, Resident Evil Outbreak, the first
the SOCOM online games.
Yeah, SOCOM, the Medal of Honor online, right?
Yep.
It was done perfectly. There were some blunders and like not good. Yes, absolutely. But they made sure that we had an experience that was whole to justify the expense.
Yeah, like the idea of you have to ship a completed product.
So I think that's the crux of this. If you as a consumer enjoy live service games, more power to you. What we, John and I, challenge you to do is hold them accountable for every craptastic day one patch, for every overpromised and massively undelivered anthem. Don't buy it.
Don't let them get away with putting microtransactions in games like Dead Space 3.
Exactly. Yeah. Dead Space 3 microtransaction just for mining crap.
Don't let them get away with like having games like Sonic Runners or Sim City have online only DRM. Like that's bullshit. The Xbox One, like for all as much as I had fun with my Xbox over the time I had it, when they announced that system would have to be online all the time, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, back when the internet kind of sucked.
Yeah, when your console is being held hostage by the people who made it, that's bullshit.
If you're listening to us, developers and publishers, because, we know you love the sound of our voice because John and James are awesome.
Yeah, then listen to other 30-year-old angry white people on the internet. That is going to be my thing every time we talk about it.
You need to be honest, and you need to deliver full experiences. I will actually reference Square Enix on this because there's a lot of weird that's been coming out from them. They delayed Final Fantasy 16 to improve, to enhance, and to make better. They recognized, so I think it was on Reddit that I had seen like the deep dive into it. Like they recognized some potentially game breaking or really bad experience that would happen.
Okay.
And they delayed it. Like it comes out next year, 2023.
Yeah, they still got time, so that's still in the kitchen.
So that is awesome because it was supposed to release in 2020.
What, really?
It was either 2020 or 2021. No, last year. It was supposed to release last year, remember?
Final Fantasy 16 was supposed to come out last year?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that was the original one. I could be completely wrong.
I wonder what happened.
Like, they're catching
COVID, that's the joke. COVID happened.
Yeah, fair. But also them catching stuff. Hey-o, catching COVID.
Not fun.
I do not wish anybody to have that. Period, point blank, end of story.
Yeah.
But to credit Square, I may have ragged on various day life, but I was like, you know what? If I'm going to talk shit on this, I want to actually understand it past an angry review, a disgruntled reviewer, a bad article, whatever, right?
Going to YouTube and Reddit to get your opinions is bullshit. Don't do it.
It was actually a complete game.
Good.
Now,
it was fun too.
Is it weird? Absolutely.
Is it fun though?
So you know how people enjoy the like kind of grinding, like the day-to-day tasks of Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah.
Like things like that. It is designed for those people, right? Your Harvest Mooners, your Animal Crossingers, like
Story of Seasons.
Yeah. Like it's designed for that. So I see where the appeal is, but they actually gave us a complete product. Diofield Chronicle, complete product. They literally withheld footage and withheld announcements for the new Star Ocean because it wasn't where they wanted it to be for us for the complete experience. Yeah. You can rag on Square all you want because I will join John in this because for every positive here recently, we're getting 10 negatives. But that's what you have to do. And if you take anything away from this message, because this is a very bright blue sky episode, do not buy the hype. Do not give in and hold them accountable. You may get a little bit of pleasure out of Anthem. Like you may have been some of the few people who did, but that was not a product that deserved your money or time.
Yeah.
Like
if the appeal of your game is FOMO, you've made a bad product. And again, like we say the word product, but I still think that these games truly are an alchemy of science and art. They're truly wonderful creations. That's why we do a podcast about it. We love these things. We love video games so much.
which is why you should also go to GameStop, because they cannot sell Babylon's Fall. So it's going to get the old dumpster treatment of GameStop. So go there and see if you can score yourself a copy.
We'll do that after the show. Anyway.
Hey!
So, anyway, what I'm saying is, like, again, like, I'll repeat what I said earlier. It's about a re-examination of what you value in your games. And those change. So if you're not having fun, or if games are not what you're enjoying anymore, maybe take a step back and reevaluate why. And maybe it's the games you're playing, maybe it's the game industry itself, maybe it could be anything completely outside of it. But at the same time, games are, at the end of the day, are meant to be about something, and they're meant to be fun.
Exactly.
And if they're neither of those things, it'd be time to move on.
Yep, don't give them your money. Now, since this is kind of a weird one, normally we have like a weird interlude. Not weird, it's awesome because you get cool music.
That I have to hand edit in GarageBand, which is just delightful.
You should have used Adobe Audition.
Shh. No.
Have you never used Audition? Do I get to teach you Audition?
I've used Audition before, don't get excited.
I get to teach John something like he taught me back in the day when I had to take a photo of people passing out because it was 100 degrees.
When was that?
Yeah, remember when you helped me? So, fun random side quest.
What the fuck is happening on this episode now?
I got tasked to, so for my job, I get to fly in various aircraft, be it military or non-military. I'm up in a helicopter in Texas mid-August heat.
Fun.
This is John's very first, not even half year at the organization we work at. And I'm
the
flying
NSA.
up in yeah. So, hey, 3-letter agency, insert go. We're in the G Good Gamers Grow organization.
Where it's that song, the GGG.
Oof. But no, so I'm flying up. It's a helicopter with the local police, and on base they decided they wanted to recreate the Air Force shield with a bunch of airmen in lines at noon. So I'm up in this helicopter because I
remember this. Yeah, now I do.
Yeah. So I'm a photographer by trade for what I do in the military. So I'm snapping pictures. Get back to the unit. I upload it. I do what I have to do to get it ready, and I'm starting my edit process. And there are multiple people just passing out, or you see them being drug away. And John had to help me edit them completely out.
Look, you're going to take this thing called the spot healing tool. Just, there you go. The ants are gone.
Oh, man. Yeah, whoever's bright idea was to take that photo at 105 degrees at noon in Texas summer.
On a concrete, like, platform.
Dumb.
And then it's white concrete, so it just reflects back.
Big dumb.
Big. It's my new rap name, Big Dumb.
So I'm happy because John got to teach me that. And then now I get to teach him Audition, which apparently he already knows. So it's whatever. But still, I was happy for a second for a teaching moment.
As long as you can be happy for a second. Welcome to the Games with John and James podcast. But
1 second wonders.
Yeah. That's the nickname for my penis. No, thank you. Not confuse the two.
So you're not getting that musical interlude. What you're getting is you can find us on the Facebook, the Instagram, at Games with John and James. You can find us on YouTube, Games with...
I think it's Games with... I don't think we have a channel name yet. I think it's still Games with JJ. But if you do a search, YouTube keyword Games with John and James, you'll find us.
You can find us on Twitter, Games with JJ.
Games with John, JNJ, I believe.
Sorry, I'm butchering that one. I have to leave him and his Twitter fingers alone.
Yeah, my Twitter thumbs.
So you know where to find us.
You can see my tweets like it's called Jib, not Jib. Get it right. Did you see that tweet? Because I like it. And Doomslayer's just like, get it right.
But please make sure to give us a listen. We also we want to know what your thoughts are on the current economy of gaming with live service games. Are you happy with what you've been getting? Do you feel gypped? Do you feel like it's just a waste of money? Let us know.
Do you feel jibbed or do you feel gibbed? Because only one of those words is correct.
Both.
You can't be...
It's like gist. Do you get the gist of this? Or do you get the gist of this?
That's not one of those words is wrong.
But it's used that way.
It's still wrong.
Tomato, tomato. Potato, potato.
No, fuck you. It's tomato. Fuck you.
Idaho, Idaho. I got one in there. I got the dad joke.
How'd you know? But okay. You find us on the socials, Facebook, Tamblegram us. You know where to find us. And I think that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you all for listening. I'm John.
And I'm James.
This has been Games with John and James. Till next time, game happy.
You know what to do when you're feeling blue. Don't load up Anthem and say, screw you. Go to GameStop, get your copy of Babylon's Fall now for free.
Yeah.
Have a coaster.
Have multiple coasters. All right. Bye, everybody.